You're watching a CBS 31 News special, Cuban Adventure.
The history of this island nation goes back many centuries. Columbus landed here in 1492, but today's Cuba is defined by one single yet ongoing event, the Revolution. And the start of the Castro regime is documented here at the Museum of the Revolution. Located on this hallowed ground are memorials to the past 40-plus years, parts of a downed U-2 spy plane, and other military items. But the most important tribute to the revolution, the boat Fidel Castro used to return to Cuba in 1956. He'd been exiled several years before.
Cinco heroicos patriotas.
Fidel is the ever-present symbol of Cuba, a beloved figure even when times are difficult. Soon after Castro's rise to power, he formed his alliance with the Soviet Union and withstood the American-sponsored invasion at the Bay of Pigs. And then there was the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis.
The basic issue in Cuba is not one between the United States and Cuba. It is between the Cubans themselves.
But in the years following the fall of the Soviet Empire, Cuba was in near ruin. Long subsidized from Moscow, the base of their economy collapsed. Castro himself called it the special period, and it eventually led to food riots and general unrest. In response, the government made the move towards limited capitalism and allowed for the American dollar to become the dominant currency, with the result being a marginal improvement in the quality of life. Everywhere you look in the heart of old Havana, you can't help but see that a fresh coat of paint is desperately needed to restore the colonial architecture to its past glory, and the signs of revolution can be seen throughout the narrow streets, which are symbols of popular strength or communist propaganda of Castro's reign. Relations between the U.S. and Cuba improved throughout the 90s, but was severely tested during the Alien Gonzalez controversy. This plaza with thousands of chairs was created for a special protest rally and is strongly protected to this day. So strong, in fact, that we were told we couldn't shoot pictures in the area despite having press credentials issued by the Cuban government. Even when we were told to move across the street, another guard told us no pictures. On the sly, we did sneak a few shots of the plaza that features a statue of legendary hero Jose Marti holding a baby and pointing a defiant finger towards the United States. This was the only time during the trip we were hassled by Cuban officials. Even under the watchful eyes of Havana's finest, we were free to move about the city. On a side note, locals told us because of the high police presence, where officers could be seen on virtually every corner, crime was not a major problem. There are still no formal relations between the two nations, but more than 100,000 Americans legally visit Cuba every year, and countless more arrive by way of a third country. Just last year, the U.S. government allowed the sale of food and medicine to Cuba, with Archer Daniels Midland being a major player in trying to export goods. Beyond the politics, most Cubans look favorably on the United States. The people we met greeted us with smiles and would tell us about family and friends they have in the States. We also met a 15-year-old from San Francisco on a different baseball tour, and he thought this bond between the two peoples was pretty special.
What's amazed me is all the people, how nice they are, and how they just come up to you, hello. That amazes me a lot, because in the U.S., they just walk past you and don't say anything.
And one Cuban we bumped into at this open-air market definitely had a lot to say.
Oh, America is wonderful. I think America, they are anything very wonderful.
Mario Vieira sells his trinkets in a marketplace reminiscent of any tourist trap around the globe. But Mario is also a musician and would love to compose his music in the States.
Cuba is very wonderful for any people, because any people live life very well. But I think for me it's very good. I think live to the United States.
You'd like to live in the United States?
Because I sing the good look in the United States. I compose music, I sing to sing my song. You know?
But you can't do that here?
No interested.
Until then, Mario will hold court at the open-air market. One can only guess what Mario makes, but the average wage for most professional Cubans is about $20 a month. Food and other necessities are rationed from the government, but such rations are inconsistent, forcing many professionals to take jobs where they can have access to dollars, most likely in areas with tourists who are likely to leave generous tips. These dollars can then be used in government-owned stores like this one, where prices are generally comparable to what we might find in a supermarket back home. $1.75 for 2 small chicken breasts, $2.20 for a tube of toothpaste, and 75 cents for a bottle of Coca-Cola made in Mexico City.
This make with the friendship with an Italian corporation, Cuban and Italian corporation. She want together make this wine. It's very good.
Foreign investment from countries like Italy and especially Canada are an important part to today's economy because private enterprise by Cubans is almost non-existent, making even the basic items in this store a luxury to most residents. Something most of us take for granted is a dinner out at a good restaurant. This too is a luxury most Cubans can't afford. In the 1990s, Cuba's economy was in such bad shape, the government made the shocking move towards limited capitalism, allowing some small private businesses to open, primarily family-run restaurants.
In 1995, we have opportunity to open. Yes, it's a private place, but it's a little place. No, it's not like America, for example. So it's a little restaurant. And
30-year-old Alejandro and his parents opened this place called La Casa, or The House. It's nestled in a newer-looking Havana neighborhood, and if you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd probably miss it. It's where Alejandro lives and works.
So it's a big house, so you can, I don't know, live and at the same time you can work.
The whole family pitches in, and Alejandro's mom is only too proud to serve a specialty of the house, chicken cordon bleu. There's a waterfall emptying into a pool that runs the length of the 50-year-old house. It's filled with turtles and even a small alligator. But this fancy setting is a far cry from where things started 6 years ago.
And the beginning was with a plastic table, but always we have the idea about the restaurant because my father have a lot of experience.
The food, now served on china and wrought iron tables, is typical Cuban fare. Lots of chicken and fish dishes, along with a favorite, Cuban black beans and rice.
We try to, give, bring different food, mixed food. Octopus, eggplant, malanga. It's typical from Cuba. It's like a potato, but different, malanga.
Average dinner is about $15. That's a tab most Cubans can't afford, so the restaurant winds up catering to foreigners.
Cuban also, but so many tourists. So sometimes the people who work here, Spanish people and Italian people, everywhere.
Even some American celebrities have been spotted dining at La Casa.
Matt Dillon came here in 1996 with the special party for the cigar. So he's a very loved cigar. He loves cigar. He came to Cuba and also visited the restaurant.
With the fun of meeting American and Latin American celebrities comes a lot of work, and the work pays well in Cuba. It's the pay that bothers some of Alejandro's acquaintances.
Because sometimes the people say, yeah, but they live okay because they have the money. Yes, but we work hard. So when you work hard, you get money.
The restaurant is heavily taxed, the catch to having a private business in a communist country. Every month, Alejandro must pay $1,000 to the government on top of a year-end tax. But the family works together, sometimes bringing in as much as $2,000 a month.
While others sleep or, watching TV, we have to work. While others, go to the summer, to the beach, and on Saturday, we keep work.
Havana is a busy city with more than 2 million people coming and going and getting on with the business of life. The tropical climate makes it easy to move around. Walking is a breeze, but if you need other means of transportation, there's just about anything under the sun. For mass transit, a popular choice are these strange-looking buses. Locals call the beasts camelbacks, but you're packed in like sardines. For only 20 Cuban pesos or a couple of pennies, there's no doubt you get what you pay for. But there are other forms of transportation from old to new. You can relax in a rickshaw and take in old Havana, or put on rollerblades and burn some calories. We even found a kid who enjoyed taking his thrills sitting down. And if you don't have wheels, there are still ways to get where you need to go, with some real horsepower. One thing that's not in short supply are classic American cars. The streets are full of vintage Chevys, Chryslers, and even Ford Edsels. A major challenge is to keep them running, as these guys found out, stalled in the middle of a busy turnaround. After a couple of tries at fixing the problem, the driver found only one sure way to get this heat going, with a little help from his friends. The old push start, it works in any language. There are no new parts for the American cars because of the embargo shutting out U.S. goods. That means replacing them with foreign parts or using homespun ingenuity to jerry-rig the engines, which begs the question,
are Cuban mechanics the best mechanics in the world?
I think that in Cuba we have a very, very good mechanics, and you have to do many things, impossible things. For example, here we don't have the screw, the proper screw, and now we have to put our mind because we need to change and put another type and to find a nut, and then we have to find a 5mm nut. We have in the second, on the other side of the car, you know, and then we make some change, and we have to put our mind in everything.
Luis is an electrician by trade and a mechanic by necessity.
I have a job, but I need to increase my salary, you know.
Instead of taking the car to a shop, he and his friend are working on the starter, charger, and wiring of this Ford console. That's the way Luis's friend gets to work and helps Luis make a little extra cash.
We have many things that we need and we cannot buy.
But just because Luis and his family don't have everything they need doesn't mean they're unhappy.
I'm only interested to have in my house many things that I need, you know, video, air conditioning addicts, a good bed. No, always you can eat whatever you want. But if you have something to eat that you like it, or do you think that you eat something that you're going to feel better, it's good.
One thing that's definitely needed if you're fortunate enough to have a car is gasoline. So we checked out a Havana gas station. This one was bustling with activity, servicing old and new cars. This is where we met Alejandro, co-owner of the family restaurant we visited. He told us he enjoys seeing all the old American cars.
In the street, you see that kind of car. I love that kind of car. Never in another country it's unusual to see that kind of car.
That fondness for these cars, along with their drivers' constant tinkering, is what keeps them on the road. And in case you were wondering, regular leaded gasoline costs 70 cents a liter, or about $2.65 a gallon. It costs a lot in other ways, too. It wasn't hard to miss the choking blue exhaust fumes belching from cars and buses around the city. Vintage cars, yes, but also vintage pollution.
What's life like for an average Cuban family? When our Cuban adventure continues, go inside a Cuban home and see what the living conditions are like. You'll also get to see a cooperative farm in Havana. And later, it's called the best hotel in Cuba. Besides a rich history, it has a great nightclub act. The curtain goes up, ahead on Cuban Adventure.